lot of things that are going down. So there you go. You're just the unnamed Fibblethip.
Fibblethip over here. Right?
But round number 3 is already underway. We're going to be jumping into our game very quickly, where we have some people are familiar with some of these players on the stream over here as I fix their life totals. Max Walters on the right is going to be playing Boros Energy. And Matt, you said that he's a former card RCQ winner.
Yeah, he won here about a year ago playing Ring Energy. So not surprised that he's playing Energy today.
And on the opposite side, we do have Jimmy Zen going to wind up playing the Gruul Broodscale combo. This is going to be a combo deck that utilizes Blade of the Bloodchief and the Broodscale with Adapt. You're going to have to walk me through the exactsies of when that does that stuff.
This is Jimmy's already has a couple spicy things. I don't believe Agatha's Soul Cauldron is standard for Broodscale decks.
That's interesting, yeah. So what do you think this Agatha's is? Is that able to give Adapt?
The point of Agatha, I assume, is that the Gruul Broodscale deck usually tries to win through Walking Ballistas. Agatha, Walking Ballista, you have a lot of creature counters on them. You can just kind of machine gun down energy.
All right, so we'll have to see here if that is the case, if we're going to wind up putting a couple of ballistas under there. We also have a bunch of different Eldrazi in this list, so it looks like it's more of like that Eldrazi Broodscale combo that you mentioned a little bit earlier on in the day.
Yeah, it's a Fleshraker. Unfortunately, treasures cannot tap for colorless.
That's annoying, actually.
Wait
a second.
Max could have cast the Glaring Fleshraker here, but, you know. No, not the mana for it.
Yeah, all right. So this is just the thing that whenever another colorless creature enters, you're going to be able to ping people for 1. So that would have potentially been the ability to do that. We do end up having Eldrazi Scion on the battlefield. That could potentially fuel some colorless mana. But it looks like on the opposite side here for Max, just kind of doing the standard energy thing.
Standard, one drop. Not a lot. I guess Max was on the draw this game. Not a lot going on so far for Max. Looks like Jimmy fetching out a stomping ground. So it looks like Jimmy has a Writhing Chrysalis.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we
come up the ground here.
I think we saw him get that with the Malevolent Rumble last time, or last turn. So Writhing Chrysalis. This was a limited all-star. This is a Pauper Menace, and now making its way into Modern as a card that's going to see play in this Broodscale deck and other Eldrazi decks.
ETB trigger on it. Oh, it's a cast trigger?
Yes, cast
trigger. Cast trigger.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is a very uncertain part of Writhing Chrysalis. Because it's a cast trigger, you get the Eldrazi spawn first.
Ooh.
So it looks like Max has a Galvanic Discharge or something.
Galv Chrysalis.
Interesting. Right. Okay. Does Max have multiple Gals here?
Yep. I'll pay 0. So I'll have 3 energy.
All right. Diz just going to sacrifice one of those.
Yeah. Looks like Max. Yeah. Looks like Max has 2 Galvs here to get rid of the Chrysalis here. I assume. Otherwise, this play is a little aggressive.
So this is interesting. So you target it first, right? So Max just decides to not spend the energy and force the pump?
Yeah, Jimmy has to proactively put the counter on the Broodscale, but this is an okay trade for Jimmy. Like, obviously, you're not happy getting hit here for 3 damage and getting the Ragman trigger, but you did just get rid of 2 removal spells with 1 Writhing Chrysalis, and you still have an Eldrazi spawn left over.
Another Fleshraker that I can't
cast. All right, the Fleshraker can't be cast yet again, so a little unfortunate there for Max. He even calls out here. But now the Static Prison, with all that energy from the Galvanic Discharge, it's keeping that Chrysalis under wraps for quite a few turns.
Yeah, it is a little awkward here because Max just doesn't seem to have a clock. I wonder what he's going to play here. Maybe a Flake?
That would definitely be a clock, but it would be difficult to bring back anytime soon when you're stuck on 3 lands. No, I guess you 3 lands, right? Because he's fetching for 1 right now. I was just looking at the 2 treasure tokens and the 2 lands and being like, wow, that's a lot onof things that he was doing.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like there's a Phlage going to Jimmy's face here.
We have to end step.
Max is going to get Cat here.
1 treasure left because I used 1.
And you have 2 cards in hand?
And that's going to wind up being, so that's an energy counter on the top, so we're not quite close to the City's Blessing yet.
One cat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And pass 2.
7 permanents.
We had that Phlage hit the graveyard.
I'll flip one.
Yep.
John Hubbard hits the battlefield, also in the room right now, also former card RCQ winner.
This is pretty interesting here. So Jimmy could just win right here.
Blood's good.
Max has already spent 2 removal spells. If Jimmy has a Broodscale here, he can go off. Make an infinite sized Broodscale, have infinite colorless mana. Is there a Broodscale in his hand?
He's got a fistful of cards in hand. Let's get rid of the Blade of the Bloodchief. Fortunately, we can't see it on his player camera. But we just had Saga go away, get that Blade of the Bloodchief. There's the
There
Broodscale.
looks like the Broodscale.
Oh, land for turn.
Yeah. Jimmy can go for it here. Equip the Broodscale. Equip the Broodscale. Adapt.
Discharge.
Ooh, there's the discharge in response.
Wow,
His-
Max just had everything here.
Yeah,
I'll be at
doing
6
it off
on
of
here.
treasures as well. So
Two, right?
Broodscale hits the graveyard. So this is going to be equip the Broodscale, adapt.
No, well, you just have to equip the
Yeah.
Broodscale and then sack the
I have 5
The
cards.
Scion.
that's currently in play. You don't even have to adapt at that point.
Ah, yeah, because you sack the spawn and then it creates another spawn
Yeah,
because it
you'll
puts a
create-
counter on the Broodscale with the blade.
Tap up, keep draw.
So it looks like Max probably has 4 cards in the graveyard right now. He needs 1 more card to escape the Phlage. Otherwise, he has 4 damage coming in. So with an escape Phlage,
Move to combat. Yep. Attack for 4.
Currently at 9.
Yes.
Swinging for 4.
this is an interesting one.
Pride and sack.
Yep.
For damage.
Take 3 to 6. Trigger Ragavan.
Temple.
All right, there's a temple.
The treasure.
I kind of like this. Prevent Jimmy maybe is trying to play to the board next turn. Keep the board a little small. Oh, that's a fetch land. Okay, so
A
Max
basic
can
plains.
surveil.
And attempt to escape Phlage.
Oh, it looks like he's fetching for basic planes, is going to attempt to escape the Phlage. Trigger at your face.
You're at 21.
And Jimmy is letting this all happen, so players are just doing a couple quick shortcuts here.
Interesting. Unless Max has the 3rd Galv Blast, I kind of wished he'd use the treasure and go for a surveil land here. Just because
And
helps you set up for the next turn. Although maybe it's not super relevant because assuming you untap, you have
I'll
lethal.
make 2 cats and a treasure.
Oh, City's Blessing comes in this. Now we have 2 treasures, too.
And pass
Yeah.
you.
So it looks like Jimmy has to win here.
This means like a Thraben Charm or something is also on the table, yeah?
Yeah.
We have another blade in hand. What is that, a Kozilek's command? And a couple of cards that I'm not quite sure of.
So Kozilek's command, you can K command for 3 here. Exile Phlage, make 3 spawn to chump. And then you take 2. So Kozilek's command does let you live this turn.
Phlage, create 3 spawns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. That's going to be the play. Get a bunch of spawns, but so we have...
There are 3 cats, a Ragavan, and an Ocelot. So you can block 4 damage, take 2.
You will wind up going to exactly 1,
Yeah.
so bunch of
You're
things
alive.
kill you, like that goblin bombardment. So Max is going to wind up taking game number 1, and like you said, Matt, he just kind of had
saw 2 discharges in
everything
my
he
opening
needed
hand,
to
and I saw
interact
this
with
is
what
going
Jimmy
to-
was doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Max saying, yeah, you have the 2 discharges, you have the 2 discharges. That's kind of how you beat the combo. It is interesting. I think Jimmy had an opportunity the turn he decided to go for it to just play a Writhing Chrysalis instead, which would have stabilized the board. Hard to say there. Your opponent already spent 2 removal spells, didn't. Good opportunity as any just to go for it.
So, because of the way that the Broodscale deck has adapted now, this Gruul version is sort of like we were talking about before. You have like a slightly more aggressive style of Eldrazi deck, and now you have the Basking Broodscale combo inside of it. How difficult is it to identify when you need to combo and when you need to play to the board? And I guess this is in context of last game we saw a rock deck that literally just grind against the Boros deck and come out ahead. Does the Broodscale deck with the Eldrazi plan have the ability to do that, or is it like I need to combo to win?
No, you definitely have the ability to grind in this matchup.
What?
It's
I'll be on
kind of
the
a
play.
thing where the Boros deck has quote unquote enough removal to keep the Broodscale in check, right? Like we saw that game, Jimmy had to. You have to equip the blade onto the Broodscale to go off. If you don't have, if your opponent has the removal there, there's no way to actually protect your Broodscale. So the actual like secret sauce, I believe, of the Broodscale deck is that you have the Chrysalis backup plan. You have Ender Cores. So the idea here is, okay, Jimmy plays Chrysalis. Next turn, he might play another Chrysalis. And all of a sudden, Boros Energy is like, oh, well, I'm just looking at Chrysalis. I can never actually win. And then at some point, the Broodscale deck will be like, okay, I'll find an Emrakul. I'll K-command, do a bunch of stuff. I'll set up Ballista. I'll start pinning things down. It's very much this kind of like cat and mouse game of the Boros Energy deck has to hold up the removal, has to play to the board and try to be aggressive. But the Broodscale can just like wait. You just play your other cards. Your other cards beat the energy board. And at some point,
Yeah, I think if you didn't
tap
block
out,
with that
you play the Broodscale,
Eldrazi
go
spawn
for
there,
it.
I was going to flinch it.
One of the big things in that game is that Max had the turn one Ragavan that basically went unanswered.
Had the ball.
How much extra mana was Max able to hold up that game? How much extra mana did Max produce that game? If Max has like
I just
Guided
went
Souls
in-
that game, for instance,
All in on the
Guided Souls
Really
into
good
Ocelot,
scale,
he's
yeah.
producing a lot of dudes, but his mana is so
like, I already
taxed
saw
there that
one
like
side of
there's
Prison one.
not really a way he can stop
Counter.
it without like, yeah, because basically Jimmy will just play
and then you had like what,
Chrysalis, and then
It was like Static
Max has to spend
Prison-
everything to answer
no,
it,
that's not it. It
and then
was
Jimmy untaps and just
Season
kills him.
Pyromancer.
So basically what it sounds like is when you were saying that Max had all the answers, it was literally the cards in his deck that he needed for that exact scenario. It wasn't like, oh, the Boros Energy deck has all these answers to these cards. It was Max had the right answers at the right time. And yeah, I want to again highlight what you just mentioned there with the Ragavan. The treasure creation allowed Max to have multiple multi-spell turns that were a 3-mana Phlage, an escape the Phlage, and holding up interaction versus like what we saw in the previous round where Liam was on the energy deck and did not have a Ragavan that could connect against an army of Nethergoyfs or Vampire Hex Mage. Yeah, that was on the battlefield last round. That Ragavan generated no value, and then the Boros Energy deck was on a much more fair game plan. So we are going to see the players shuffling up. Jimmy is going to be on the play this time around. Do you think there's anything specifically that this Gruul Broodscale deck is bringing in to kind of damper what Max's Boros Energy deck is doing? Or is it kind of, now that we talked about, okay, you know, we have the game plan and we have the way to force them to be the reactive deck, do we just run it back and maybe just keep it as is?
I mean, you can play some number of sweepers, you can play some more graveyard hate, but for the most part, your main deck should be set up pretty well to fight against energy. There's not a lot of tweaking you have to do post-board here.
But as the energy deck, are these Ragavans staying, or are these Ragavans basically going to be brick wall when you're on the draw?
This is a great question. I assume he took them out. I can't be certain, but I'm assuming he took them out.
Ooh, Glaring Fleshraker hitting the battlefield on turn 2 thanks to that Eldrazi Temple, and this is going to be something that definitely fuels the engine of the Broodscale deck.
Yeah, this is another reason why like the Broodscale deck can afford to play patient against the energy deck. Fleshraker often demands an answer, right? It's so much damage, it's so much value.
Well, there's the answer.
But there's the answer. But the thing is that like you tax the Galvanics out of Boros Energy. Boros Energy only plays for Galvanic Blast. So at some point, you know, when Jimmy goes for the actual combo at some point, Max just probably won't have another answer.
Yep. All right, so now Max, without those treasures, just has to hold up one land, gets a cat at the end of the day, and Glaring Fresh Raker number 2. As you mentioned, there's only 4 Galvanic Discharge in Max's deck. There's probably 4 of these Flesh Rakers in Jimmy's deck.
Yeah. There's... Jimmy looks like he has another Flesh Raker and a Nature's Claim. Is that Nature's Claim in his hand? That's an interesting choice.
It's a 1 mana green. Yeah, that's a Nature's Claim.
That's an interesting choice.
What does that go? It goes after Static Prison, it goes after Goblin Bombardment, and is that it?
That's it. Maybe Fable if the Boros Energy player has Fables or keeps them in post board.
Yeah, we've seen the debate go on for basically on and off all RCQ season of Season Pyromancer versus Fable, and ooh, Goblin Bombardment is
Okay,
here.
this is interesting. Yeah, Jimmy should just blow up this bombardment now.
Nature's Claim.
I say, yeah, this is what you bring it
Oh,
in
no,
for,
no,
right?
no, no. Oh, you know what? I think Jimmy should have let Max go to attacks. Because Max is clearly wants to do the I attack with pride. I'm going to fling my cat at your Flesh Raker after first strike damage. So Jimmy, if Max goes to attack here, Jimmy can just blow it up and eat the pride for free.
Sack this guy. The Flesh Raker.
All right, looks like this case here, Jimmy is presenting the threat of do you want to lose your whole board to kill the Flesh Raker? And
And
yeah,
I guess, yeah.
So 21.
I mean, that's a pretty nice exchange for Jimmy here. There's, you know, Max basically had to sack his entire board to deal with the Flesh Raker.
Jimmy's just gonna play a third.
Jimmy's going to play the third Flesh Raker.
They both laugh about it. Jimmy, no 4th land.
I don't think that's that big of an issue. Jimmy has an Eldrazi Temple in play. Has 4 Eldrazi mana. He can basically play anything in his deck except Emrakul at this point. Does look like he drew a Ballista, so I guess that's a reason for the 4th land.
Oh, are we exerting
And then white.
for Pyromancer? Oh no, this is
Clarion?
Clarion Conqueror. Interesting. Okay, so this is actually a really good sideboard card out of Boros. Activated abilities of artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers can be activated. You get to hit a bunch of stuff. You get to hit the Eldrazi Scions. You get to stop stuff like the Broodscale activation. You get to stop Blade of the Bloodchief from equipping.
so Max not only having the hate piece, has the answer to the 3rd Flesh Raker as well. So the Static Prison is sitting there, and the Nature's Claim was used on the bombardment, so we don't have the answer to that. Max is on 1 card left in hand, however. So things are a little bit dicey with just living off the top of his deck. From Jimmy's side, we see Kozilek's Command, we saw Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and you mentioned that Walking Ballista that was there. So Walking Ballista is basically just a nothing burger at this point.
Yeah. Jimmy actually wanted to hit the 4th land here for that K command. So you can exile the Clarion Conqueror here. He's choosing to do nothing. Interesting.
Yeah, I think I saw Broodscale in hand as well here for Jimmy. So Jimmy has like all the pieces of stuff that he needs. It's just there's a hate piece and like you said, that no land to get rid of the Conqueror on the battlefield.
So is Jimmy just going to end step draw stuff?
Basking Blade. Blade just went straight.
The Flash here is not super scary. You can just exile it with K command here.
Pass it.
X is 2, exile your Flage and your bombardment.
Yeah,
And I'll
Jimmy's just going to exile
discard your-
and then scry 2, draw. Yeah.
All right, so maybe looking for... What are we looking for at this point? A way to get rid of the Conqueror?
Basically, because the thing is that like, aside from K command, there's not really another way. Like, Chrysalis, Writhing Chrysalis would be a great blocker, but you can't sacrifice Eldrazi spawn with Conqueror in play, so you can't actually grow the Writhing Chrysalis.
Oh, it looks like we drew... I think that's... Yeah, there we go.
It's good for digging to find another K command.
Finds a Haywire Might?
It's a little.
Little Ancient Stirrings action.
Haywire might also not very good in the face of Clarion Conqueror.
Man, all these creatures and their activated abilities.
Yeah. I mean, the Clarion Conqueror is just really strong right now, I think. You know, really great hate beast against all these Eldrazi, Scions. Great against the Affinity decks.
3 toughness is also pretty relevant right now, too.
Yeah, it dodges stuff like Pyroclasm.
We are taking the Writhing Chrysalis. So that will give us a cast trigger, but it won't give us anything beyond that, right?
No. It will be a 2/3 reach, so you could technically chump block, but
We're just playing out the Broodscale.
yeah.
Hanging energy for that Flesh Raker.
Combat. 3.
All right, and Jimmy's going down to 6 now. And Ocelot Pride comes down.
I have 1 in.
All right, Jimmy, what do you got?
Looks like Jimmy might have to just play this Chrysalis and just chump block this Conqueror.
The good thing is Chrysalis does have reach, so
Secret reach.
secret reach.
Yeah.
Downside is that it will not kill the Conqueror.
No.
Unless you've got a way to get rid of an Eldrazi that doesn't require its activated ability.
Sure.
That's going to also ping himself for 1 off that Carpulsion Forest, so goes down to 5. Pays the last energy here.
Max. Yeah, Jimmy down to 2.
Ooh.
Ocelot. Pass you.
Oh, plays another Ocelot Pride and just passes it back. So now Jimmy is dead to basically any Phlage that comes down.
Phlage, Goblin Bombardment. He drew a Blade of the Bloodchief for turn, so that doesn't do anything.
He's got a pair of those. You got a Malevolent Rumble. What else does it have in its hand?
Oh, what he's digging for here. Just like churn water, maybe. Maybe you have to. Maybe you're only out here is you have to rumble into an Emrakul, like find the lands for an Emrakul.
And we can't sacrifice any of these Scions to power out that Emrakul either. So we're on chump block duty next turn, and then potentially looking down dead because these Ocelot Prides might just be able to start coming in. So the Flesh Raker will come back on Jimmy's side next turn, but the Flesh Raker, it does things when you can sack your Scions.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is that like you really need. You need to sacrifice the Scions to generate mana, and Max is at 24. You're not likely to be able to, ping Max for lethal off just colorless creatures.
Unfortunately, we only have 2 spawns. Like I mentioned before, people keep taking our spawns.
Okay, so there's an Emrakul. He milled a K command.
2, 3, 4 types.
It says Emrakul's only being reduced by 4, so that's 9.
If he could sack his spawn, it'd be pretty good.
Like,
I mean, do you just take a Flesh Raker and...
no, he's gonna take the L instead. Jimmy can't find what he needs, and
So I was like,
yeah, I guess
Like,
he's
they're
just
playing
looking
on
looking at the
Scions,
board right there and
this
realizes
box
that
is
there's
like
no
super
real good way
My
to
hand was
kind of
super
come
slow.
back from that one, and it's going to be Max
My hand was a
in a
basic
bit of a
plains
slog of
eyes.
game 2,
Bluffing.
playing a Clarion Conqueror and just running away with the game after it.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, Jimmy's spending his only removal spell for the Clarion Conqueror to try to hit lands. I don't know about that.